This is Gone Racin, VSiN's premier NASCAR betting podcast. Here are your hosts, former NASCAR driver Brendan Gaughan and Las Vegas Motor Speedway's Jeff Motley.
Welcome in, everybody. Gone Racin hanging out today. Already having fun before the show even starts with, of course, as they just said, Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Motley. Jeff, I made it.
You made it by the skin of your teeth.
With another new shirt. Sally Gaughan, thank you very much.
Came into the valet about 100 miles an hour. Probably.
Yeah, you know, lock them up. That's what I do. And then, of course, we have our professionally unprofessional, the count that started about 20 seconds early. It's always amusing, right?
Whoa. We were on time today. I
saw this.
I was getting ready. No. I put the hand up first to get set. You
we're off to such a great start. You barely make it in time, but you show up without a shirt, so you have to run through the office, grab a shirt, which you unpacked out of the plastic bag.
Yes.
Put on, changed here in the studio. And then Wyatt was so excited to get us on the air, he almost gave us the premature.
It's been one of those weeks for me, Mr. Motley. Welcome into Gone Racin, everybody, where we talk about all things NASCAR betting. We do such a great job of it. Some of us do a better job than others.
But a couple of us did a pretty good job last week. Our pit crew is
I'm just saying,
battered and bruised.
Hey,
right
remember a couple of weeks ago, didn't we have like a picture of the pit crew with like the Carino with a WWE belt and you know them with like, you know, boxing gloves up?
Yeah, it's like we had they thought they were like John Cena, Ronda Rousey, and somebody
something
else.
Like that.
Hey, we got a year of bragging rights right now. A year. Until the official standings come in at Phoenix, we're still the defending champs.
Brendan, isn't there an old phrase that's called "What have you done for me lately?"
Don't we talk about that a lot when it comes to gambling? Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of what have you done for me lately, we had, of course, the Food City Dirt Race from Bristol Motor Speedway. Non-betting related, Jeff Crowd. Easter Sunday is a tough haul.
Easter Sunday, yeah.
But the race was phenomenal.
Terrific race. And finally, we saw one of these dirt racers. I mean, 2 years in a row, we see Joey Logano and Kyle Busch, not known for dirt racing, win this thing. Because we kept thinking that Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson were finally going to break through, and guess what? One of them did.
I'll tell you what, though. A lot of people we talked about stayed up there. But Christopher Bell, he was $650 to win the race. He was a plus 200 for the top three. He was a 255 for his group. He was a plus line against Larson at 110, a minus 145 against Briscoe. And Toyota, plus 180. We talked about that, about the prop bet. The Toyota one we kind of liked because you had Briscoe and Bell. And, of course, you had Reddick and Bell. Right. And, of course, who was the guy in second?
They ran 1-2. And who knows what happens if we don't get a caution on the final lap.
He was catching him.
It was
going to be a hell of a slide job.
But I think Reddick knew what had happened to him the year before, and he's like, well, I'm not going to take us both out.
But he was going to at least give a move.
Right.
He was going to try something.
Yes.
But heck of a race. And when we talk about dirt guys, look at this top five, Jeff. I mean, Christopher Bell, who, as we talk, a master on dirt. Tyler Reddick, a guy that we call a dirt guy. Austin Dillon, who I told you, dirt guy, top three. I said I wanted him in a top three. I even had him circled last week, and then I choked at the end, and I just bet him in the group instead of the top three. There he is. Stenhouse Jr., who does have some Chili Bowl experience in there. Chase Briscoe, who we said last year showed up, had the thing, you know, him and Tyler were going for the win. And then you got some guys, though, that we honestly did not expect. Justin Haley, Martin Truex.
Justin, by the way, was in the same group with Ty Gibbs. Gibbs got a top 10.
Group F was 6th and 10th, by the way.
Somebody here picked Ty Gibbs and was very disappointed.
He finished top 10.
I said, oh, he's 10th. Oh, no, Justin Haley was 6th. What? Come on.
Martin Truex Jr. showed back up. That was good. How about Todd Gilliland and Kevin Harvick, though? That was the two big shockers to me. That was impressive. Larson, of course, dominated early. Led the race. Everything was great.
And he wrecked on his own, and then he and Ryan Preece had a disagreement.
They had a little disagreement of space. But a great race. I think we had a lot of fun watching it. Just a good race. Yeah. Just unfortunate that it the circumstances that they don't get the people there.
Well, and you brought up Austin Dillon too. He was 12 to 1. 12 to 1 for a top three. You know, we don't get a lot of the double-digit top threes very often. But the thing that got me is we talked so much about Austin Dillon and his prowess on dirt racing. You know, you talked about the fact he won a truck race. He won a truck race at Eldora. In fact, I think he might have won the first truck race.
He did the inaugural.
That was on dirt at Eldora. So I think that was one really where the odds makers missed. And
I said that.
Right. I mean, you and I both picked him to win his group.
He's won Gators at Volusia. He owned his own dirt team forever. Ty Dillon even ran good for a little bit, but then just faded.
And then he had a problem. I think he hit the wall and had some damage.
He got into a whole thing.
But two guys, Kyle Larson and Joey Logano, both, two guys we had high hopes coming in, and they kind of brought up the caboose.
Well, Logano, I mean, come on. He was running well. He just had an accident.
He got in every wreck.
He got in every wreck.
And he didn't qualify well, which was part of the problem. He gets himself back there in the middle of the pack, and it seemed like every time there was a caution, I look up and the yellow 22 was pointing in the wrong direction.
But Seabell, ton of dirt experience. I mean, him and of course Larson, the two most experienced guys. They come to the top. We finally saw what we expected. The dirt cream rose to the top.
One guy I do want to give a kudos to, even though he didn't finish in the top 10, just because of twice Michael McDowell gets spun, does a full 360. He just keeps on
wish
going.
We could show. I wish, like, hey, you don't get certain rights, right, to be able to do things. Would it be super cool? McDowell, even on television, Tony Stewart says, McDowell spins. He doesn't hit. Wait, he didn't hit anything.
And he's still going.
And they threw a caution, and I think even NASCAR went, throw the caution. Oh, wait, we didn't need to throw the
second
caution.
time they didn't throw a caution.
Yeah, the second time he said, but he didn't just spin, Jeff. He spun in front of, in between traffic. Do you know how much talent that takes?
And never stopped spinning.
No,
Got
never
it straightened
stopped.
out.
Didn't hit anybody. 360. I mean, Danny Sullivan spin to win the Indy 500. I mean, but with a car on his inside, a car on his outside. Michael McDowell, love you, baby. That was absolutely.
He's definitely up for Clint Boyer's Put It Out this week.
Yes, dude, it was awesome. Not betting related, but that was super cool. Now let's go to the season standings, Jeff. We got an interesting thing. The season standings. Hendrick teams have got a 100-point penalty. Then they got their 100-point penalty. They got the points back, but lost the money. Didn't get their crew chiefs back, but still kept the points. Then the next week they go out and they get another penalty. And they lose 60 points and 5 playoff points.
And suddenly, and the funny thing is, so last week we sat here, and Alex Bowman was leading the points, even though he didn't have a win. Alex is 13th
now. Yeah.
That's a rough week. They went from having the best week, getting their points back and getting a win to
Yeah. But as we see, Jeff Motley, we are 8 races in. How many winners do we have? 7 winners, 8 races. Hello.
With definitely the good possibility of a couple of these tracks coming up, adding to that list.
Just saying, could we get the magic number this year? Could we have somebody that wins not make the playoffs?
Could we? Yes. Will we? No.
See, I can't believe you're still dogging that. I think it's going to happen this year.
Because eventually we're going
to
start.
Look at the guys that haven't won. Look at this list. Look if you're watching the podcast, look at the list. Ross Chastain, who won how many times last year? Kevin Harvick, who perennially gets a win a year. Martin Truex Jr.,
who hasn't won since the Obama administration.
Okay. Ryan Blaney, who didn't win last year but normally gets a win. Alex Bowman, who wins. Denny Hamlin, who wins. There's guys not even on this list that are outside.
And you know what I just loved? Just because Wyatt's back there behind the glass, that you just skipped right over Brad Keselowski.
Hey, I've got an over on Brad Keselowski, half a wins this year, so that Atlanta race really stung, but he's going to get one this year. I promise.
And I got to tell you, he's running well enough to get one this year.
Well, and I think, there are some guys that are not even on the top 16
Austin
right
Dillon's
now.
not in that right there.
Allmendinger, clearly. We got all these road
4 or
course
5
races.
Road courses still.
Somewhere's going to get in there.
Hey,
and like
there's a big name missing from that. It's a guy that's coming back this week that we haven't even talked about yet.
Yep.
Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott is not in this. He's got his waiver. Chase comes back this week. He's not on this list with a win.
Let me ask you about Chase coming back this week.
Okay,
Surprised that for a person who was out with a broken leg is coming back at a Martinsville where you're going to be using your feet as much as anywhere other than a road course. I don't know. Wyatt,
Anybody know? Wyatt?
Did
left
he
or
break
right leg?
his left leg or his right leg? Either one of them, he's got to be pushing
Isaiah
pedals.
says left leg.
Left leg?
Yep.
That's kind of tough. That's a tough one to come back from. But here you go. The kid's a race car driver. He's tough. He's got a little throwback in him. He's got a little of his old daddy in him.
Will he be rusty?
No.
Simulator will be fine. They'll get him.
Not even
ready.
simulator. Look, these kids are different, but for I mean,
Look, Brandon, when
getting
you
away from
started
it, no.
racing, people raced with a broken leg.
Yeah, I did race with a broken leg.
Remember,
Actually,
remember Ricky Rudd had his eyelids taped open one time and he raced.
I've raced with yeah. That's a different era. Let's just say it was a different era. Yeah. Let's get to the schedule, shall we? Coming up right now, of course, this week we're going to talk everything. The NOCO 400. Motley, I believe, has looked that up, so I know what it is, and we can talk about it. Then we go. Once again, cool schedule, Motley. This has been so much fun last little bit here, the way NASCAR does their schedule. Dirt race to the shortest track in NASCAR, Martinsville, to the biggest track in NASCAR, Talladega, to the concrete monster in Dover, then out to the 1.5 miles of Kansas, and then to Darlington, which is arguably one of my favorite tracks in the history of this.
Yeah, an exciting race. You know, the old Mother's Day race now at Darlington.
That's right.
The throwback weekend.
Back to where it's supposed to be. So great schedule coming up. We're, of course, going to talk about NOCO for 100 today. And then Martinsville, though.
And you know what? I'm going to be even really excited for the week after Darlington, by the way.
Talladega?
Oh, the week after Darlington.
Oh, what's after Darlington?
That's going to be the All-Star race at North
Oh,
Wilkesboro,
okay.
which could be quite
Not on the schedule yet. We'll get there.
No.
And I should say the shortest track, except you just mentioned, there's going to be a shorter track for an all-star race here soon. Wilkesboro, isn't it
they're about the same.
I thought it was a small half mile. But anyway, Martinsville, the shortest track on the sport. It is a paper clip. Super cool. I've raced there my whole life. So much fun. Super tight corners.
My hometown.
That's right.
I'll probably be doing this show from there in a couple of weeks.
You will be doing that show from there. I get it. It is Sunday, April 16th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Byron is this winner from the spring race last year. So that is what's coming up. And speaking of what's coming up, we will get to the guys that are kind of hot and not at Martinsville and some of their track records, and we'll get to the odds, and we'll get to all of our good stuff that we are professionally unprofessional with. We'll get to the professional part when we return on Gone Racing.
This is Gone Racing, VSiN's premier NASCAR betting podcast. Here are your hosts, former NASCAR driver Brendan Gaughan and Las Vegas Motor Speedway's Jeff Motley.
And welcome back in, everybody. Jeff, did you hear that? Premier NASCAR betting podcast.
How about that? All right.
Premier. I mean, we hear it, but we just
Makes us special, doesn't it?
Oh, we're special, all right. Oh, we're special. Don't you worry about that. I still got my helmet. So we said when we came back, we're going to start breaking.
I see one of them right
Yeah,
there
that's
in
right.
front of us.
That's right. We said we were going to start breaking down, getting to some of the, who's hot, basically type of things at Martinsville. A lot of races here, right? A lot of data points for most everybody. But of course, if you go to Martinsville, the first name, Jeff, that always pops up, Denny Hamlin. 23 top 10s in 34 races. I wish I could explain to you how difficult Martinsville is. First of all, just the chaos that can happen, right? To be top 10 60+% of the time, that is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, and he and Kyle Busch have finished in the top 5 50% of the time.
I mean, that's just unreal. You look at those two numbers. Even Brad, 25 data points, 17, same exact stats for Brad, just less races. Just unbelievable, really, when you look at that. And then Kevin Harvick down there, the most starts, the old man in the sea, 43 starts for Kevin Harvick. And that's...
And only 5 top 5s.
I don't get that either, because with as good as he is at, like, Phoenix, remember Phoenix and that sort of stuff,
But Richmond really was never his game. He could run well at Bristol, but
don't talk to me about Richmond.
Those flat, smaller tracks don't seem to lend themselves to.
Look at the name of the bottom of this list, though. Ryan Blaney. We brag about how great Ryan Blaney races, but we call him the opener, not the closer. He's got 14 races. 8 of them top 10s. Of those 8, 7 of them are top 5s.
But how many has he won?
No wins.
And that's the thing. He gets out there. He leads a lot of laps early.
Runs great.
Hangs in there.
Fades back.
Just can't get his hands on that grandfather clock.
William Byron's only been there 10 times and has 6 top 10s, 1 win. You look at that and kind of go, man, you shake your head at it a little bit. But he's doing better than I'm saying this like, well, check my record. Let's not check my record. Actually, I wasn't bad in the trucks.
You have one of those clocks?
Really, we got to go there again. I thought we'd go through a whole episode without getting made fun of, without the story of Clay Campbell and Mike Smith handing me the brochure saying it's the closest I'm ever going to get to it. Thanks.
Sorry. I know I opened up a wound.
Mike, I'm still looking for you. Mike Smith never show back up to the track?
Mike lives in the Bristol area, and Mike, he's kind of retired, but he helps us out at Bristol every year. Kind of sits up and runs the press box. You know, he was like a mentor of mine. He was
Mike Smith. Listen, I love that man.
He was a sports writer at the Martinsville Bulletin when I was in high school.
Great man.
And I used to string covering sporting events, and Mike used to edit my articles when I was in high school.
One of my three favorite PR guys: Kevin Green, Mike Smith, and Owen Kearns.
Wow. I guess I'm chopped liver.
Well,
thank you.
I don't count you as a PR guy.
Okay.
You're more than a PR
I didn't
guy.
even make the top 3.
You're more than a PR guy, and I'm talking NASCAR guys.
Who'd you spend the most time with over the last 20
me and you spent
years?
more time than anybody. But I mean, come on, those 3 guys are iconic when you talk about what Mike was able to do with all his years there. Owen,
Right.
Of course, and then
Yep.
Kevin Green was
Good guys,
was my teeth cutting days in Winston West, and I think he's working for McAnally now.
Oh, it might be.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Love those guys. All right, let's get to what we're supposed to do here instead of the commentary of Jeff and reliving, the glory days. I hear Bruce Springsteen in the back of my head. And we are doing the NOCO 400, the odds to win. And here we go, kicking it off. Favorite, no surprise here is the favorite. The winner of this race last year and the guy that is arguably the hottest in our sport. William Byron is plus 600. Still a dang good number, though. Kyle Larson, 650. Christopher Bell, 650. Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott comes right back at plus 700, first race back. Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, 850s, and then double digits right after that. Ryan Blaney, 11-1. Kyle Busch, 12-1. After the Coliseum, we might talk about that, Jeff. Ross Chastain, 16. Kevin Harvick, Alex Bowman, 20. Brad K, Tyler Reddick, Brad K, 22. Tyler Reddick, 25. Chris Buescher, 35. Daniel Suarez on the first page, 40-1. Jeff.
Well, a couple things here. First off, the guy who won the last race at Martinsville is sitting, and just won our last Cup race, is it sitting there at plus 650. Christopher Bell. Ross Chastain at 16-1, but we will not get the Hail Melon.
Which I think is
like
so
we did last
stupid
fall.
they made this rule.
We won't be having that. But I think, and I know I cannot believe these words are going to come from my lips.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Ryan Blaney at 11-1 is kind of tempting.
We just talked about it. I mean,
I really can't wait to see the top 3s because I tell you, Ryan Blaney,
the guy may not be winning, but he's always up there. And like you said, top 3s.
And you give him 11-1. Look, one of these days, he's going to end up.
He's going to win it.
It's going to happen.
He's going to win it. But even Alex Bowman, 20-1. I mean, there's some great numbers here. I gotta say, there's definitely there's value right here on this first page. We jump into the second page.
Tyler Reddick,
25. I'm looking the same things as you are.
28-1.
I'm running down looking at stats as we're doing this, going, oh man, there are some numbers here that make me kind of drool. Second page, Chase Briscoe is off the top of it at 40 with Eric Almirola 40-1. Ryan Preece, Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon all at 50. Austin Cindric 55, Ty Gibbs 60, and then super long shot guys. Eric Jones, the dinger at 200. McDowell 300. Justin Haley, a couple guys down there at the end.
I'm amazed to see Stenhouse and Gregson at 400-1. I mean,
that's a look.
I was gonna say, didn't Noah win in the truck race?
Noah won a truck race there, and Bubba Wallace is 50-1, and he also won a truck race.
That was his first truck win. I know that because
I believe Noah got very well known for winning the truck race, and then right after he won the race, he lost his lunch over behind the safer barrier.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I don't put it past the legacy team 400-1. I mean, and AJ Allmendinger, we've always equated this to kind of a road course, right, with the amount of braking you do. The dinger down there at 200-1. There's some numbers there that aren't bad. I kind of look at the Ryan Preece side of things. I think Preece is very undervalued right there. And when we get to the top 3s, I'd be more interested in it. But there's some value here on
Eric Jones is 200-1.
That's not a good sign for legacy. They did not start the season at 200.
Given the fact that one of their owners is one of the best ever at Martinsville
arguably
Speedway.
one of the best ever. I mean,
no question.
He's pretty
one of the best
there.
ever all time. But at Martinsville, he's right up there with Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon,
Rusty Wallace.
Rusty. I don't know if he won as many as Darrell or Richard did there, but
6 or 7 of them. But he was right there. A lot of grandfather clocks sitting in Rusty Wallace Racing when I drove there. Let's get to the top threes because Jeff and I, we both just talked. There's some value in this a lot of value in this top three. William Byron is plus 170. Kyle Larson and Seabell are 185s. Denny Hamlin, a top three at 210. With Chase Elliott 210, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano 240, Ryan Blaney 300, Kyle Busch 400, Ross Chastain 450, Harvick 550 with Bowman there with him. Brad K 6, Tyler Reddick 800, and then Chris Buescher, Daniel Suarez 10 and 11-1 respectively. Jeff, there's where we're talking here. Like you said, Denny Hamlin 210 for a top three.
Yeah, other than those top three guys there, because the value is really not much of a return on them. Boy, Denny, Truex, who always runs well at Martinsville.
Home track.
Logano, didn't he win at Martinsville a couple years ago just to get into the championship race?
Yeah.
And obviously we talked about Blaney, and again, now we're not talking about winning. We're talking about top three. And I know I brought him up for the odds to win, but plus 800 on Tyler Reddick.
Listen, Reddick's been great everywhere he's going right now. He's on, what is it, 4? I think I saw a stat on television. There's 4 or 5 top 10s in a row after the really slow start. Remember, he started off pretty slow the first 2-3 races.
He won, and then he had a horrible. So he won it.
It was 4 out of the last
right?
5. He had the top. Yeah, he had
and
one
then
photo.
the next week he had a rough week. I can't remember where we went the week after.
But I mean, there's
Richmond. I don't think he ran well at Richmond.
There's some great numbers right there. Even on the second page, Chase Briscoe 11-1, Eric Almirola 11-1, Ryan Preece. I like Ryan Preece. I'm telling you, this is a track that goes right up Ryan Preece's alley. 14-1, Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon, all at 14-1, Austin Cindric 15, Ty Gibbs 16, then the long shots, Zane Smith. How does Zane Smith have a higher odd to win the race
than Eric? Well, yeah, that is kind of odd,
Then-
his win. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's 35-1 compared to Eric Jones, and Allmendinger's 50-1, and I don't really quite
Yeah,
see
that's why
that.
I'm going back and forth.
Maybe they think the fact that Zane is going to get to run the truck race earlier.
He was
or the day
200-1
before.
to win the race, but 35. Okay,
You know,
whatever.
and Zane is replacing Cody Ware in that car.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
So, yeah.
You want to look on that? Go to a different podcast, not ours.
Well, in case people would know why he was in the car, that he's just
He's also
replacing.
running for front row a bunch too.
Correct.
So it's not. We see Zane Smith quite
He's
often.
in for Gilliland, I think.
Yeah,
in a handful
normally
of
him and
races.
Todd switch up back and forth. So there are some numbers here that I do like, but Preece is really the most intriguing for me. This is the type of place that modified stuff will really come into play. I kind of like that a lot.
Well, and I think people just look at Ryan Preece's modified career. That's his credentials right there.
And it's a credential. Ain't many better. All right, when we come in, we will kind of wrap up the top threes, get to our heads, and start our groups.
This is Gone Racin, VSiN's premier NASCAR betting podcast. Here are your hosts, former NASCAR driver Brendan Gaughan and Las Vegas Motor Speedway's Jeff Motley.
Want to rewatch any part of today's show or any past show? Check out the Gone Racin podcast. It's free and available now at vsin.com/podcast or wherever you get your podcast. We give you all the latest news, odds, everything you need to know to head right to the betting counter before each NASCAR Cup race. While you're there, catch up on all the great VSiN shows as well. vsin.com/podcast. Jeff,
All I'm going to say is this: if Wyatt were in basketball, we would have a 19-second shot clock. The pitch clock in baseball would be down to 10 seconds.
Why am I getting blamed from this?
Because it's you behind the glass.
I'm
who
not.
is
I'm
giving
getting
the
count in my ear.
See, blame the guy that we can't see.
well, see,
Yeah.
I think Isaiah.
I got witnesses.
Isaiah might be doing it intentionally.
He could be. Because look, all we see is Wyatt going 5, 4, 3, 2. No.
Well,
And then-
it's easy to tell when they're still in the middle of the intro and he's already pointing to me. I'm like, yeah, I can't talk yet.
Well,
I mean, do
look,
you
he was
realize
in
how
my.
many-
I trust Isaiah is a smart individual, and I trust his judgment.
You know what that makes me think? Maybe he's setting you up.
You
He
realize
might
how
be.
many billions of dollars we would have lost if Wyatt worked for NASA? We had rockets taken off long before they were supposed to.
Oh, God, God, I love this.
Look, I'm from Las Vegas, and, the education system wasn't so great.
Yeah,
here,
but most people from Vegas, the one thing they
Know how
do
to
is count.
Hey, we can count.
Trust, you don't want to see me on the blackjack table. I struggle with the counts.
Just got to take his shoes off at the blackjack table. All right, guys. Oh, God, I love my life. Welcome back in to Gone Racin. We are talking the
By the way, I wish we'd had a camera when Wyatt was headbutting the window over there after he sent us up early again.
Oh, God, I love this. This is so much fun. This is my life, Jeff. Come on. This is life, really.
This is your 1 hour of amusement every week.
This
right?
this is my solace. But the little glass, the monkey in the cage. This is my glass solace right here. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, head-to-heads for the NOCO 400 at Martinsville. And, Jeff, there's a couple here that I like that I'm going to jump on fast. There's no real don't line here, right? You see a William Byron for a couple, but you got it kind of all over the board. Here's the one I'm going to jump on right off the bat. Middle of our page, Joey Logano's plus 105 to Truex's 125. Now, we've talked about how great Truex is here at his home track of Martinsville. But remember how you and I always talk about what have you done for me lately? 10 races, 7 wins. Martin Truex has 10 races, 7 top 10s with 3 wins in the last 10 races. So what have you done for me lately? Sounds pretty good, right?
Those last 3.
30th, 22nd, and 30th last year in 2 races.
Well, there's one of these head-to-heads I like too.
Okay, let's hear it.
Denny Hamlin getting a plus 120 on William Byron. I know what Byron minus 140.
That's the other one.
Denny's got to be thinking, okay, look, I got to get a win here somewhere. What better place to do it than Martinsville?
You're going to circle it right here and say that Martinsville might be the place. Now, you go average finish last 10 races. Look, Denny Hamlin or William Byron, pretty strong, right? I mean, he's been doing great. And I get that he's the strongest guy in the sport right now. But, man, Denny Hamlin on a head-to-head battle, getting a 120 line at a place he's won, 7 times?
He's got 5 wins here.
5 wins earlier. Man,
which is 4 more than William Byron. Now, he's got a lot more data points.
And look, you want to go down to Christopher Bell. Denny Hamlin is up 105 to Christopher Bell's minus 125. Same thing holds true there. I mean, look, we like C. Bell, but in 6 races, he's got 2 top 10s, a win, and 1 top 5. That's fantastic. And it was a win. It was a walk-off win to get him into the playoffs. I may be heavy in head-to-heads this week. Now, I know this. I'm going to say this, and it's going to bite me in the butt because I never go on like a Denny Hamlin, like, woo! And he's going to end up pulling the Denny Hamlin 3 pit road speeding penalties and be 3 laps down, cussing and screaming on the radio, going on his podcast, making all sorts of news.
Yeah,
but
when Brendan goes Denny Hamlin, woo, you know something weird's going on.
All right, let's get to our group matchups, which, of course, there's some of the favorites here at Gone Racin. And we jumped right into Group A, and we got Group A, William Byron, a plus 250, Kyle Larson, a 270, C. Bell, 270, and guy we're just talking about, Denny Hamlin, the dog, at plus 300. Ooh.
I don't like Larson here.
I don't either for some reason. Looking at his stats, he's got 8 races here, 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s.
I call it, he's had a pedestrian performance.
He finished second in this race, in the fall race to go to the championship, or to miss the championship, I should say. But that's it. He's got a 9th and a 5th a couple years ago, pre-pandemic. So I kind of like, I'm with you. I kind of like that Denny Hamlin 300.
I think if you're going to go somewhere, I think the Denny Hamlin 300 or Christopher Bell plus 270. I mean, those are pretty good numbers. I'm usually very hesitant on Group A's.
So we normally are.
And I typically don't go Group A's.
I mean, Byron won this race. I get it. Okay, Byron's got a, there's.
You can make a really good case for 3 of these 4, and you could really make it for all 4 because, look, at some point, Kyle Larson's going to win at Martinsville. I mean, he's just too good not to.
But Denny Hamlin 300, that's enticement, right? I mean, we always talk about, can you entice me? There's a little enticement there. Let's go to Group B. Wow. Martin Truex Jr., 235, Joey Logano, 255, Ryan Blaney, 275, and Kyle Busch, 335?
Yeah, I know that's a huge number there on Kyle Busch, but, that team really hasn't run that well since they won.
Okay, but what's the shortest track on the actual shortest track we race at?
Of any race?
Of any race.
At the L.A. Coliseum.
Who was probably one of the best cars at the L.A. Coliseum?
Kyle Busch.
And who do we say is a giant closer in this sport?
Kyle Busch.
And we've just said that Martin Truex Jr., what have you done for me lately? Joey Logano, good. Ryan Blaney, we already said, doesn't close. Kyle Busch, 335. Anybody else here? I mean, nobody?
You know, I'm kind of torn between Blaney and Busch on this one, though.
I'm torn between Logano and Busch, but man,
if you're torn between Logano and Busch, then you take Busch,
I'm
right?
taking Busch. I think Kyle right there, 335. When was the last time anybody tell me when they've seen Kyle Busch at a plus 300 number in a group?
Since I've been with you guys, I can't remember.
That's Kyle Busch at a plus 300 in a 4-man horse race. I'm sorry. And it's not even Group A. It's Group B. That's just, you got to look at that and say, I'm feeling pretty confident about jumping in on that one. Let's go over to Group C, Mr. Motley. In Group C, we have Ross Chastain as the leader in the clubhouse at 235, Kevin Harvick 275, Alex Bowman 285, and Wyatt's favorite, Bradley Kay at 295.
I really like the favorite here. Chastain, he ran well in this race in the fall. Granted, he had to do that crazy maneuver in order to pick up about 5 spots on the last lap, but he ran well that whole race.
Well, in this race last year, he was 5th. So he's 5th and 4th, 2 races in a row.
So 2 top 5s. Yeah. I just don't think this is the race where Keselowski's going to come back. Bowman, I don't know. I'm just not. I think Chastain is the guy who just seems to me to have the best opportunity here. I really kind of like Chastain. And yeah, he is the favorite, but hey, we're talking about cashing tickets, and I think Chastain can cash a ticket here.
I mean, Bowman's got a win here. He has a win in 2021. So he is strong, but I do kind of like Chastain there. Harvick is good, but like we said, his stats just don't show it here at Martinsville. You kind of talked a little about that. Brad Kay, 295, not enough juice for the squeeze there. Sorry, Wyatt. It just, especially when you're going up against the Ross Chastain, who's been so hot, and since he's been at Trackhouse, 2 top 5s, I do like the favorite in Group C.
Yep.
There is no Group D at the Westgate this week, guys. Once Chase Elliott came back.
Right, I believe Josh Berry was supposed to be in Group D,
and then Chase came back, so Westgate scratched. And remember, we do the show so early, we have to get some early odds from places, so we don't have a Group D to replace him with. So we'll go past Group D and jump right into Group E. And Group E kicks off with Eric Almirola, your favorite, at 265, Chris Buescher and Bubba Wallace, 270s, and Austin Dillon, 280s. Intriguing. Here's the thing.
Here's my group of...
True, but we talk about Chris Buescher, a guy that cashes tickets. He's out of Group F. He's into Group, he's up into Group E here. He's got 1 top 10 in the last 10 races, average finish of 18. Bubba Wallace, 1 top 10, average finish of 19. These guys are very, very evenly matched. Austin Dillon's 1 top 10 as a top 5, average finish 21, and I'm making the argument that you made. Eric Almirola, though, 4 top 10s in 10 races.
Well, and here's the thing with Eric Almirola.
It's all lately, too.
To me, Martinsville is a smaller version of New Hampshire. And we know how well Almirola has. You have a win at New Hampshire. We know how well Almirola runs a place like that. Almirola should be the favorite in this group. And if I'm going to pick somebody, it's Almirola. And I've been really torn right now between picking a winner in Group B or in Group E right now. That's for my 5th pick. So looking at the stats, Almirola has been 6th, 8th, and 15th in the last 3 races. So what have you done for me lately? Eric Almirola has been the guy that does it at Martinsville for me lately. And I just named the other guys. All the other guys have 1 top 10 in 10 races. He's got 4. Give me Eric.
I think I'm going to have to – I might even circle that one. All right, when we return, and I'm going to make sure that I'm waiting for Wyatt. Here we go. We're going to finish the groups, props, and our picks.
This is Gone Racin, VSiN's premier NASCAR betting podcast. Here are your hosts, former NASCAR driver Brendan Gaughan and Las Vegas Motor Speedway's Jeff Motley.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, got it.
We can start now.
Gone Racin. We're back, Jeff.
Wyatt was right on time, and then we still gave him a hard
Hey,
time.
We have to.
It's not how you start; it's how you finish. So the last segment.
Oh,
Yeah, well, what have
and
you
in
done
this
for
last-
me lately?
In this
And
last
Wyatt-
segment, we're going
Yeah.
to talk
Wyatt
a
got us on
lot
time.
about that, aren't we? We're going to
Yes.
talk about what have you done for me lately. Let's
yeah.
finish up our groups real quick, though, before we get to some of those things that I want to definitely spend at least a few good minutes on. One, Group F, a couple new names that we haven't seen in a while. Somebody new and a guy that normally is in Group D or so moved down to Group F. Michael McDougal makes a return to the groups. 260, AJ Allmendinger 270, Eric Jones 270, and Harrison Burton 285. Kind of a random section of Group F here, Jeff. I mean, that's the fun thing is this is the one that a NASCAR fan, you want to do some research? This is one you could probably
I
find.
got a guy here I like.
Which one do you like?
I like that guy at the top.
You like
I
McDowell?
like me some Michael McDowell. I mean, AJ, I don't think of him as a short track guy. These legacy cars have not really been running that well, and I'm not picking Harrison Burton to win a group.
Eric Jones has a top 10 here, and it was with Richard Petty. So 8th, 13th, and 18th in the last three races.
I think McDowell.
You know, a lot of times we had the whole, you look at Eric Jones, it's Gibbs cars. You had to, he's done better since he's actually gone to Richard
these last 2 weeks, and I know last week was on dirt, but McDowell ran well at Richmond.
Yes, he did.
McDowell ran well last week.
Yes, he did.
Made those two unbelievable saves last
yes,
week.
he did.
I think he's racing with a little bit of confidence.
I believe he is.
And I think
also.
that team's gotten a little better. I like Michael McDowell here, I really do.
I like it. I will not argue your Michael McDowell, just to give you a little Eric Jones stat. Throwing it out there. All right, there's our groups. We do have one prop again today, and the prop, of course, is the manufacturer prop. And Chevy, look, this is going to be rinse, repeat all season. So far the way it's going. Chevy plus 125, Toyota 185, Ford 230. Ford's closing the gap a little bit on the odds. The problem we have is most of those guys we've named today all have a bow tie around their deal, other than Denny Hamlin in the Toyota.
And Christopher Bell.
And even
So that's
C.
what I
Bell.
mean. I think you've got two really good Toyotas, and then you never know. The wild card to me also is Reddick in there. So to me, the Toyotas being plus 185, last week we talked about how it was a good value on the Toyotas, and the Toyotas won the race. I think this week we're in a very similar situation where there's a good value on the Toyotas, and you've got some quality drivers in there.
What about a Logano and a Blaney? I mean, I'm not just giving it to Chevy.
Correct. I'm going to put Hamlin, Bell ahead of Logano, Blaney. So I believe the Toyota being ahead of Ford is right. I don't necessarily put Byron, Larson, Chase Elliott coming back from injury. I don't put those guys that far ahead of those two Toyota guys.
I'm with you. I think there's value in the Toyota side. I think it's still there, and it is. Let's get some of the championship odds real quick because, as we've talked, Chase Elliott is back this week. He is still at 10-1. If you don't think his odds are going to fade anymore, now's the week to take him. We've all kind of on this show said we thought he might get down to the 12-ish area. You're splitting hairs at this point. Now, I'd say take him. He's back. If he has one bad race at Martinsville, maybe it'll drop again. But I think now's the time to take him. Other bigger movers.
Well, we had one guy hop up last week because he got a win.
Because he got the W.
Christopher Bell gets the W. Suddenly, now he's pretty much in the playoffs.
Yep.
At least I think he is.
Well,
I know you don't totally agree with me.
I'm just saying it could happen this year. Martin Truex Jr. going the wrong way. He's slid down to 16-1. Ross Chastain is even sliding the way that you kind of want him to. He's 14-1 right now. So
He needs to get that W.
yeah, and still strong, but just hasn't got the W. Let's talk about what happened last week now, Jeff. What happened in the Gone Racin betting league?
A couple of us had some wins. You had the best week, but I'll take my week. I'll take my week any week. I got winners there with Truex and Austin Dillon. You also got Austin Dillon in his group,
I
and
got
you
Austin
picked
in
a
the
couple of head-to-heads.
I did. I was pretty happy with my performance last week. We were texting, of course. So everybody knows we sit here and we text each other during the races a lot of times. Us, Wyatt, Motley, and we kind of go back and forth, talk a little smack, or when we get the bad beats, we all look at each other and just go, "You've got to be kidding me."
I can usually
Pictures
count on
had a lot of
somewhere.
those.
What was the week? The Coda.
Yes.
Jimmy wrecked out on lap 1, and we all looked.
You
at each
had
other.
him to win.
We all went. I didn't. I had him in like his
Top
he was in
3 or
Group
something.
F. No, he was Group F.
Group
And
F.
I'm like, come on, Jimmy Johnson, Group F. You got to take this. And lap 1, he went out, and Wyatt's like, I think that might be the earliest we've ever lost a pick.
And I can usually guarantee inside the last 10 laps, there's going to be a text from Wyatt that we couldn't show on air.
It's a lot of fun. Like last week, I mean, Kyle Busch was running so well in for Group B, and then something breaks on his car, and he finishes.
Listen, you realize how close I was to winning Chase Briscoe top 3? Guys,
Well, I had Chase Briscoe top 3 as well. So
Chase
you and I
Briscoe
both
finished
would have
5th.
won
I mean,
that
we
one.
were close on. I was close on getting 4 of my 5.
You didn't have Briscoe in the top 3.
and
you had Briscoe to beat Larson, and you won
No, I
that.
had
You didn't have
I
him
also had
top 3.
Briscoe top 3.
No, you didn't. I'm
What
looking
did I
at
do?
your. I'm looking
Oh,
at yours
that's
on
right.
the
That's
screen.
right. I was
right
looking at
here.
yours. I had
You had
Larson to
Larson to win, and that
and
one could have
Logano
went by
Group
the
B, and those 2
wayside.
were gone early. So, yeah.
I tell you, the pit crew's on a longer losing streak than Martin Truex Jr. almost right now.
Are you sure? Are you sure you did this count right? Did you do the math? I think you carried an extra 1. I don't know if we have that.
I think
many.
you carried it. Listen, we all know I've had. Hey,
I know how to add 5 minus 1s.
I may have to start checking some now that I'm. I may have to start checking Jeff's math here because there's been some times before.
Well, look at this. I mean, you got a plus 6.2.
I'm just saying.
I mean, you made some money last
It was
week.
a good week.
It was a good week.
And speaking of good weeks, I'm going to have another one. And on the Gone Racin' show, we always start from worst to first, and that means it's not me anymore. Let's start with the pit crew.
All right, to try to get out of this massive hole, we're going to go Denny Hamlin to win the race, plus 700. So I cannot wait for Denny Hamlin to screw it up somehow in the pits with a pit road speeding penalty or something like that. We're also heavy on Denny in a matchup with Christopher Bell, plus 105. Ryan Blaney over Joey Logano, plus 105. Liked what you said about Kyle Busch, plus 335. Kyle really loves racing here at Martinsville. He's been red hot this year. And tried and true, Brad Keselowski to win Group C, plus 295.
Wyatt got his pick, Jeff. We can always tell which one's Wyatt's.
He got his Brad Keselowski in there.
I still have one more for Talladega next week.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Motley.
All right. Well, my little long shot here, because if I could win it, I could probably pass Brendan in the standings. Is I'm going to go Tyler Reddick at plus 800
Win the race.
for top 3. I get plus 800 for a top 3 on Tyler Reddick. I'm yeah. He was 28 to 1 to win the race. I'm not going to be that brave. I am going to take that Denny Hamlin over William Byron in the head-to-heads. Denny plus 120, and then my other 3 picks are in the groups. I'm going with the bottom groups. I'm going to go Ross Chastain to win Group C, Eric Almirola in Group E, and Michael McDowell in Group F.
All right. I like both of those. I like those. I'm all good. We're only going to have a few things. We have a couple of the same little off across
Hard
the
for me
board
to
with
pick
us.
up on you, huh? See, that's what you're going to start playing defense now. That's what you're going to start playing defense. I get it.
So I'm going to start off with Denny Hamlin top 3. I'm not going to go to win like the pit crew but 210. I mean, come on, Denny Hamlin. You gotta. That's floating out there in the ethereal realm, just screaming at me, going, man, Denny Hamlin top 10, 210. That's a hell of a number. Then I'm sticking in the Denny Hamlin camp. I got 2 Denny Hamlins this week. Taking Denny Hamlin head to head with William Byron, like you, Jeff. He's 120 head to head versus Byron. I get it. Every time we poo-poo Byron, he does great. When we jump on the Byron bandwagon, he kills us for a month. But here we go. And I'm going head-to-heads again. Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr. What have you done for me lately? I think Joey has been too strong lately, so I'm keeping that one in there. Then I got 2 groups. I'm jumping on Group B, Kyle Busch. 335. The enticement too big for me there. I do like the Ross Chastain. I really do like doing the Ross Chastain in Group C, but I'm not doing Group C. I'm going all the way down to Group E, and I'm jumping on the Eric Almirola bet. I do like Eric in that. The stats don't lie on that one.
So we got 2 of the same.
We got 2 the same.
2 of the same. All right.
So not bad. I'll take it. Well, that is Gone Racin' for the week. We left us a little bit of time here to as my friend Pete Pistone told me, kibitz before we get out.
Kibitz. I'm excited always when NASCAR goes to my hometown. So look forward to being in
you're going to be
Martinsville.
there, right?
I won't be there for the race.
I thought you were gonna be there this
No.
time.
I've got this weekend. We have the NHRA, the 4-wide nationals here
Tony.
in Las Vegas. Tony Stewart will be running in the top alcohol, and we've got the top fuel, funny cars, and all that this weekend. And then I'm actually heading back to Virginia next week because I won't be on the show at all next week. So Wyatt gets to sub in for me and make fun
I'll
of
be
me.
here,
and-
Wyatt. Don't worry. We won't.
Level, a true test for Richmond.
Did a phenomenal job,
Yeah.
too, by the way. Did a great job for us. Wyatt, the super sub here, filled in. And, hey, listen, I want to know, did Isaiah give you the bad counts going in that day?
He was good that day. He was
Okay.
good that day.
He's got Isaiah in his ear, I guess, when he's sitting here as well as back there.
Well, we can make fun of Isaiah because Isaiah, one, won't be on camera and won't talk back on camera, right? I mean,
And look, we can talk about him because he can't see us. And you're right. He ain't talking. And
We don't wear the thingies in our ear, so we don't get.
No,
we don't need it.
But we love you, Isaiah. We do. Promise.
All right, Michael's got my son Michael's playing in a band concert at Gorman this weekend.
Okay.
So
Go
I'll
enjoy
be
it.
there. Thanks, guys. That's this week. We'll come back next week and we'll break down everything from Martinsville.